I grew up at a time at a place where there wasn't a lot of art around, but I was really, primarily drawn into music. But I've done other kinds of creative work as well. But that's really where it all started. It was just me listening to the radio, talking to friends, and trying to figure out, like, could I do this?
Stop waiting for the moment to make it. It's always this never-ending chase of the next big thing, like the next big project, the next big client, the next amount of likes.
The word is perseverance. If you can't take, if you can't take rejection, don't even attempt to get involved in this business.
When it's your passion, you have to anticipate that people will not be on board to the degree you would expect them to be on board.
Let your ego go, let it go, and just learn. It's a lifelong decision. It's not, I'm going to act, direct, and write. This is a lifelong decision. And you got to learn every single day.
I'm a writer, creator, producer, director, author, and community champion. But that's not how the story started. I faced rejections more times than I could count and found support in the most surprising places. Scrap paper is where I make sense of it all. The scraps, the stories, and the strength behind the journey.
Jailyn, you have such an impressive resume, which of course I am aware. Tell us how this all got started for you in your creative journey.
It's so many places that I feel like I could pinpoint as origin stories. I feel like all creatives have had this journey in their life where you're introduced to things, whether it's just your culture, your family. So with music, I grew up in a Pentecostal church. So singing in church was something that I can't even tell you how young I was, when I first started singing and being into music. But it wasn't until I turned 15, I got a MacBook for Christmas, and I started uploading videos on YouTube. And they were super cringe, extremely cringe. And yeah, I really didn't have much thought behind it at the time. I think I just liked seeing other girls on YouTube. I was learning how to do my makeup on YouTube and all these different things. So I didn't really have a plan when I just posted my first video. I just started doing it. And then over time, I started to see okay, wait a minute. This is actually a full career field for someone. I remember I got my first YouTube check while I was working at Applebee's. I was 18. Yes. I was averaging maybe $60 to $80 a night at Applebee's. And I had this video that just went viral out of nowhere. And I got my very first YouTube check after I've been on YouTube for some years, and it was $1,200. And I was okay.
And now a brief word from our sponsors.
Every great story needs a director, a guide, someone who helps you define your role and step into it with confidence. That's exactly what Epiphany Resources does. Whether you're a leader, an entrepreneur, or someone searching for direction, Epiphany Resources helps you find your why and equips you to pursue it. They don't just focus on the details, they focus on you. Learn more at epiphanyresourcesllc.com. Everyone deserves support. Whether you're facing a mental health challenge, struggling with addiction, or just need someone to listen, Piedmont Community Services is here for you. They provide expert counseling and recovery programs to help individuals and families thrive, because a stronger, healthier community starts with you. If you or someone you love needs support, visit piedmontcsb.info to learn more. Help is here. You are not alone.
And now back to Scrap Paper with Natalie K. Hodge.
$1,200, did you know the video was yielding this, or were you just kind of just organically posting stuff and, not really thinking about it, but then the check came? Tell me more.
That's exactly what it was. Because at the time, like I said, I was working at Applebee's. I was actually on winter break. from college. So it was my freshman year of college. I was on winter break, and I had decided in winter break, like, I'm not going back to college. Like, I'm gonna figure something else out. So I had moved all of my things out of my dorm. That's why I went and got this job, because I'm like, I'm not going back to college. So as I'm working at Applebee's and I'm trying to find something to do, because one thing that like my mom was very adamant about was she really wanted me to go to college, but because I had decided I'm not, it's like, you're not just gonna stay in this house and do nothing. So I'm like, okay, well, I need to do something to be productive with my time. And my mom is similar to me, and she has a lot of different like interests and things like that. So she had this camera that she had bought to do photography, and she did it very like sporadically. So she was happy to let me use the camera because otherwise it wasn't getting used. So I would just get off of work, I would go like take her camera out of her like craft room, and I'm just in there like talking. I would do like try on videos. I didn't have no money, obviously, because I'm making $60. So I would go thrifting and like do videos about thrifting. It really was just for fun. The video that ended up going viral, I was reacting to another creator's video. So when I tell you, it's literally like I'm in my room and I'm talking like I'm talking to my homegirl, like, girl, can you believe such and such did such and such? I had zero expectations that the video was gonna blow up. I go to work the next day. While I'm at work, I'm looking 100,000 views, 200,000 views. I think it ended up getting like 300,000 views, and that was my first check. Up until then, I knew you could get paid on YouTube, but I had never gotten paid, so I wasn't expecting to get paid, but that's what happened.
So that's a really great example of, you going to college and that not working out. So you tried something, it didn't work out. And then that led to something that you latched on to now. Kind of explore more about that plan or lack of plan that took place after you just departed from the original college path.
So I'm a bouncer. I'm a bouncer. I bounce around with ideas and stuff like that. So even though I was not supposed to be going back to college, after I got this YouTube check, and I don't know, it just put a different perspective in my mind. I'm like, okay, actually, you know what? I think I am going to go back to college. So I literally moved all my stuff back in. I had to move it to a completely different dorm for spring semester. And then I finished the spring semester. But at that time, though, I still wasn't clear about what I wanted my life path to be. That was something I used to feel very insecure about, around that age, because I was someone that always had friends that was a little bit older than me. So I was looking at my friends, they're in college, they're excelling, they're so excited to be like a doctor or a lawyer or a vet or whatever. And then there's me, where I initially went to college for biology, got in my first bio class. This is not going to work. I switched my major to psychology, which at the time I thought it wasn't going to work because I switched it again. But now it all has come full circle. So I'm glad I took those classes. And then right before I left college, I had switched my major to marketing. But I switched my major to marketing because I got a marketing assistant job that was paying the most that I had ever made at that point. So I'm like, okay, well, let me just kind of go with that. And I feel like I stumbled into my path. And I'm very grateful for that, though. Everything isn't always meant to be lined out and outlined from start to finish. And so I'm glad that this all came together.
Yeah, absolutely. I think stumbling is a really key part of a creative's journey. And I have had the same kind of scenario in my life where I thought I was going to do this, and then I was excelling at that. And it felt like, from a career pathway perspective, or from a, this is a professional journey perspective, like I'm getting promotions, I'm getting acknowledged as having expertise, like I should stay in that lane. And then I just was not content in those spaces. But once I got into this creative realm, and ironically have not made the same level of money or had necessarily the same kind of, I guess, appearance of success sometimes, I've loved it. I've loved it. And that's the key, is, do you love it? So you've bounced around, you've done a lot of cool things, you've gotten into your niche, or many of them. Share some lessons or insights that you feel like have been high impact in the journey.
Oh, I think the most important lesson for, and this, I'm not going to say just for creative, but specifically for creatives, is stop waiting for the moment to make it. You know, I feel like it's always this never ending chase of the next big thing, like the next big project, the next big client, the next amount of likes. And every time I have set myself up based off of something physical like that, you know, something where it wasn't about emotional fulfillment or like mental clarity or anything, I will achieve the thing and realize that this is just like another stopping point in the journey. You know, it's not the destination. And so I feel like sometimes it's easy to get discouraged when you look at your creative journey as there has to be this final destination. Like, just create and let your creativity take you wherever it's supposed to take you.
That is totally a bar, and I could not agree more. What I'm kind of locked in on right now is enjoy it.
Yeah.
I'm doing this work because I love it.
Yeah.
So just love it and know, regardless of who accepts it, receives it, shares it, this is what it is. And
yeah.
So live in the present moment of enjoying it.
Yes.
Okay, so what are some side projects or hustles? Because I know you were the ultimate hustler along the way as you've been working in these creative spaces.
Oh man, what haven't I done as a side hustle is a better question. Bartending and waitressing has been like a go-to for me. I think it's because there are moments where I really like people, like moments. And I feel like, you know, just getting to like talk to people, learn different people's stories. Like, you learn so much about people behind the bar, or like when you're serving them. I feel like it has made me a better marketer, but that's been a go-to for me. I've done several different types of digital products. Once I found out about digital products, I feel like that changed the game for me, because I realized like I can do something once and then kind of set it on autopilot where it's like doing its own thing. So I have an Etsy shop. Well, I have a few Etsy shops actually. On my Etsy shops, I sell things like birthday invitation templates, you know, different promotional things for like health and wellness businesses. It's like very low ticket items, but like I said, I can make them once and then someone else can like just continue to purchase them. So that's been a good side hustle. Let's see, I've done photography. I've done a little bit of interior design for people. And then of course my own, I wouldn't consider this a side hustle, but you know, my own content creation journey has taken the back burner at times. Now it's been able to come a little bit more to the forefront. So I'm happy about that. But if you gave me an idea about a way that you can make some money, I'm gonna at least try it.
We might be related. Listen, as you touched on digital products, I definitely want you to take a few moments to talk about this new piece that you've released, because it is so super cute. I'm glad I got to preview it. But
thank you.
Just tell the people about it.
Yes, so the Pretty Girl Playbook has been in the works for a couple of years now, and I'm so excited that I finally finished it. So what sparked me to do it was one of my YouTube videos that did really well was when I transitioned into waitressing in nightlife. So, you know, there's lounges, there's clubs, there's bars. All of these places have servers and staff and things like that too. And I didn't realize this while I was working at Applebee's, but you know, working at those places, you can tend to make a little bit more than $60 to $80 a night. So when I was introduced to the concept of doing like bottle service and waitressing and things like that, I was very intimidated, because even though it does rely on some of the skill sets that like an average waitress and bartender would use, there was kind of this air about it that felt like it was so exclusive, you know, because there's 10 Applebee's in 100-mile radius, there might be 1 or 2 high-end lounges or bars. So it was very intimidating for me. I did a lot of research, and at the time, it wasn't a lot of information out there about how to transition into this type of service. So I made a video talking about my experience getting hired for the very first time. And, you know, back then I really didn't know much of anything because I was talking about it in real time. But what started happening was people would reach out to me on Instagram and like in my YouTube comments, and they would continuously ask for more advice and more help because they would see, you know, people making a full-time income and they only had to work a couple days. So as people would ask me, I would like give advice here and there. But as I got deeper into the industry, I realized that there was a lot of elements that was transferable into other skill sets. And the biggest one for me was your self-confidence, your presentation, and owning a room when you walk into it. And I realized how many beautiful, intelligent, like inspirational women I was coming across in these settings. Not all of them, but a good amount of them. And I think that people tend to like stigmatize women who work in the nightlife industry. And so I wanted to write this playbook for anyone that was considering entering the nightlife, but also for anyone who's already in the nightlife and they're battling with that stigma against themselves. This is all I'm ever going to be good at. How am I going to transition into a different job where you're not making, you know, thousands of dollars in a weekend? It's really that mental mindset guidance of you have learned so much in this space that you can take with you into other spaces. And if you're interested in entering this space, here are some of the skill sets that you might already have that can transition you into that space. So that was the motivation behind the Pretty Girl Playbook. And it's probably one of my favorite workbooks and creations I made so far.
Yeah, I love it so much. The preview that I was able to, you know, dig in just a little bit into it was so cool because, you know, I had that brief stint where I was a hostess at Tao, and it was a game changer for me in the psychology, the nuances behind how to make money in that industry. And at that point in my journey, we don't even need to talk about how old I was. I was older than, don't worry about it. I was older, but they didn't know. And no numbers needed to be revealed. And I had a master's degree. Like, I'm coming into this as an opportunity to make some money while I'm acting. I was not aware of all of the potential of that experience, from the networking, from the money that I was able to make, and the fun. But again,
absolutely,
story for another day.
And now a brief word from our sponsors.
At Tad Tavern, the lights dim, the mic turns on, and creativity takes center stage. As proud sponsors of Scrap Paper, Tad Tavern believes in giving bold voices a space to be heard. Surrounded by delicious food, good vibes, and unforgettable experiences. Whether you're there for the show or the stuffed shrimp, you're in the right place. Visit tadtavern.com to reserve your seat at the table where food meets inspiration. Have you ever wished for someone who truly sees you? Not just your job title or your to-do list, but your potential? That's what Epiphany Resources does. With expert coaching and deep, passionate curiosity, they help leaders, entrepreneurs, and dreamers find clarity, direction, and resilience to keep going. Whether you're navigating a transition or ready to step into your full potential, Epiphany Resources is your guide. Learn more at epiphanyresourcesllc.com.
And now back to Scrap Paper with Natalie K. Hodge.
Transitioning just a bit, because you do so many things, who or what keeps your ideas, projects, and even your life together?
I think that the main thing that keeps me pushing and keeps me motivated is my family. And, you know, it's the reason I think about it is because I'm not particularly close with a lot of members of my family, but I have always felt like it was my responsibility to showcase to my siblings. I am the oldest of a lot. I should showcase to them their possibilities. I always wanted to be able to create a space for them where they could be secure and they could be safe, and, you know, they could come to me for advice. They could come to me for life experience. I really just wanted them to think that I was cool and that I had the things that they needed. And I think that's what has created this persona for me of the internet big sis, because I take a lot of pride in being a big sister. And even when I can't, you know, physically be there with my siblings or talk to them on the day-to-day basis, I am extremely aware of how much influence I have over them. You know, they look at the things that I do and it's like, okay, she's a cheerleader, I want to be a cheerleader. Now we have 3 cheerleaders in my family. Or out that she does social media, I want to do social media. And so I want to showcase to them that, like, your only limitations are the limitations you place on yourself. You know, being in a small town right now, and for them to see me still actively chasing the things that I was chasing when I was in Miami, I just hope that that inspires them, you know, to take a chance on themselves and to feel like they can be the best versions of themselves, because it's easy to be in the shadow of your big sister. And I don't want them to be in my shadow. I want them to be their own light and to shine like vibrantly. And yeah, that keeps me pushing in moments where I feel like, what am I doing all of this for?
So if you could go back in time to your younger self, what would you tell her?
You're that girl, and don't let anybody tell you differently. Okay. I think every creative can relate to feeling like they don't fit in at some point in their life. And I think that growing up, I was always very in tune with my creativity, but I allowed other people to like minimize me or to tell me that the things that I wanted to do weren't realistic, or it may not have aligned with their personal value and belief systems. And so I've taken that on a lot. So I would tell my younger self, like, you're that girl as you are. You know, you don't have to change who you are to be who you want to be. You can evolve, but you don't have to change.
Right. That's so real. And just thinking about how we learn a lot from looking outward.
Yeah.
Other people making it happen. How are other people achieving success in whatever industry? And so this comparison starts to begin.
Mm-hmm.
I do this, then I should get this result. And if I don't get this result, am I less than? What have I done wrong? Is it my look? Is it my delivery? Is it my location? So this cycle of just doubt and confusion, because if I'm following the blueprint, why am I not getting the same results?
Mm-hmm.
What really we should be doing is connecting to that inner strength, that person inside who is unique and valuable and has this amazing creative voice that the world needs to experience, and not thinking about everything else going on. And block out that noise.
Yeah, because what if you're the blueprint? You know, like, what if you're the blueprint for something new? Like, there was never a influencer until there was. You know, there was never a R&B/rap artist until there was. Like, there was never Mahogany Blues until it was. So it's like, you can't always rely on what other people are doing, because maybe it's your destiny to pave a new path and do something differently. You know, I'm extremely, extremely inspired by Tabitha Brown. She's probably one of my favorite influencers, very dear to my heart too, because she's from North Carolina, super close by. But her path, she paved a path and created a personal brand that was so like just authentic to who she was, that it's just so inspirational, because you don't have to be anything other than you to be successful. And she's a perfect embodiment of that.
Let's talk about Tab for a second, because she is on my list too of just favorite people.
Yes.
Love that she tried her hardest to do it the right way.
Yep.
hear her tell that story of going to LA, been there, done that myself, her body image, like how she was trying to frame herself within the industry.
Yeah.
Because, when you're from a small area, like she's from Eden, Martinsville is, our turf. You're looking outward again at these blueprints, at the instructions.
Yeah.
Feeling like if I can follow these instructions to a T, I will be able to get there.
Yeah.
And it's so frustrating when you do all of this work and it doesn't unfold in that way. And so I love when she talks about how the moment she kind of broke through this wall is when she departed from the instructions and she just owned herself.
Yeah.
Talked authentically about her journey and her her struggles, her achievements, and her process.
Yeah.
Love Tab.
Yes, love me some Tabitha. Like, and you protect yourself that way. You protect yourself by going that route. Not to dip back into the previous convo, but even in the nightlife industry, you can't follow anybody else's path because you don't know what people are doing behind the scenes. And that's in the entertainment industry, that's in nightlife, that's in with social media, all of these creative elements, they have a air to them. Like, you don't know what's happening behind the scenes, and so by doing things your way, by doing things authentically to you, you can prevent yourself from running into some of those, negative things that are really going on out here that people aren't talking about that on the forefront.
Right. And personally, I struggle to be someone else. I excel at being myself.
Yeah.
When I put myself in a position where I can just be 100% me, that's when I'm winning.
Yeah.
Winning in a way that doesn't have any guilt, any shame, any I guess desire to be anything other than.
And that's a beautiful place to be.
It's the most beautiful place to be.
Yeah.
What do you feel like is next for you in this journey?
I have no idea. I honestly have no idea, because if you would have asked me 5 years ago, like, where will you be 5 years from now? What I would have told you would have been so far off from what is actually happening. But I'm so grateful for everything, every positive and negative thing that's happened on the journey that's led me here. And so I'm open to wherever the universe wants to take me. I just have this deep trust that if I continue to create, if I continue to just show up, sometimes it's slow and steady, but if I just continue to get up and try and keep going, that there is a place and there's a lane for me where the things that I have to say will be shared worldwide. I don't think I've ever actually said this out loud, but I have often had these premonitions, if you will, of just seeing myself. The only way I can describe it is like Oprah. Because when you think of Oprah, you just know like who she's reaching, the impact. I've had these premonitions of having that type of impact, and I never understood why or what. Like, is it going to be the music from YouTube or content? And I still to this day don't know, but like, God has just put that in my spirit that you will have that type of impact. And so I'm like, I just have to trust that all of the things are going to align the way they're supposed to, and the things that are supposed to be said with that impact, like the people that's supposed to be touched, they will be touched, because I'm just following that universal pull, So I don't even make plans anymore, because they say we make plans and God laughs. So I might plan for the next month, but past that, it's just wherever the universe is taking me.
Yeah, I love that. I love being in the moment of it. And I talk about this a lot when people ask me what's next. And I'm like, I'm just trying to get through what's now.
Hello.
Get through what's now and cherish what's now too.
Yeah.
sometimes we get into next mode and we miss the excitement, the appreciation for what's going on right now.
Yeah.
And right now, at some point in the past, was next.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I truly believe that the things that you have now are a manifestation of the things that you have either prayed for or talked against, in the past. Like wherever you put your energy on and focus on, I really believe it has no choice but to manifest. And even though I wouldn't have said specifically that like this is where I would be in my life, I did speak growth, over my platforms. Like I spoke impact over the things that I'm doing. And it's like I had no expectations of being signed to a modeling agency this year. But it just happened. Out of all of these times that I've like applied and things I've tried to do, like trying to force it to happen, when the time was right for it to happen, it just kind of happened organically. And that's the space that I strive to stay in, just letting things happen organically.
Yeah, we have to release the kung fu grip on these dreams.
Yeah.
To grow and develop in the way that they're designed to grow and develop. So having a plan is always a recommendation for me. Like I always have a plan. I always have an agenda for my day.
Yeah.
I understand that the universe has its own plan. God has his own kind of agenda.
Yeah.
It's great when those plans are in alignment, but let me let the higher power supersede my small vision of thinking is going to work. Like I won't go into a day just with nothing.
Yeah.
I won't have that tight grip on the plan such that I can't release it to something bigger, better, and more fabulous.
Absolutely.
What else do you want to share with the people?
I want the people to know that I am so excited to be here and that RGM is doing some amazing things and that I've been tapping in, tuning in, even a part of some of the really great things that's happening. Make sure you guys check out Molasses. I was nervous when you initially brought the script to me and was like, this is what we're doing. But I have never been prouder to see a project come to completion, from start to finish. It was amazing to witness and to be a part of. So I definitely want people to check that out already if they haven't, even if it's just a testament to seeing what you can do with, limited resources in a smaller town, because people put us in a box, but we're breaking out of those boxes every single day.
I will not be put in a box.
And won't.
I do want to share something about our relationship and this thing that you bring up about nervousness, because I never see it.
Yes.
After the fact. But I come flying in with ideas all the time and I'm like, oh, let's do this. And you're like, okay. And you start jotting down notes and the fingers start working, the nails start clacking on and then all of a sudden there's a logo. All of a sudden there's, a storyboard. There's something put together for the project. And you're always in that mode of being a translator of words and ideas into designs and a visual aesthetic for something. And that is truly incredible to me. And I'm always surprised when you say I was nervous, because I never see that on the front end. You tell me on the back, I have to believe you, but on the front end, I never see that.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I just manage it very well. Like even amongst the nervousness, the way that you just described it, of translating ideas, energy, words into something physical, I truly believe that's my gift, because in that moment, it's nothing I love more than when you're like throwing some ideas at me and I'm like, okay, how can I take this and make it something that you can like see, hold, feel? And whether that's with music or like with acting or the movies, like I love that element of it. but it is very nerve-wracking for me. I think over the years, just because of the type of like jobs and hobbies that I've had, like I would be nervous at work, but you know, I can't show that, because if I'm showing nervousness, people are gonna try to get over on me, or you know, I'm not gonna make any money. Like if I'm nervous at a cheerleading competition, like I still have to go out there and perform. So I think I've just gotten to a space where I'm able to like hold it in. But my aunt asked me one day, she was telling me how much she is inspired by me, because she was like, you just do what you want to do. Like you just do things with no fear. And that's the tagline to my YouTube is, in order to live your life to its fullest, you must live fearlessly. And so she asked me like, are you ever scared? And I told her I'm always scared. Like all day long, I'm scared, you know, just because you might not see it or feel it. Just because I do the thing doesn't mean I'm not afraid. But I learned a long time ago that it's okay to be afraid. Like courage is not about the absence of fear. Courage is about feeling fear and moving past it. So just because you're scared doesn't mean you have to stop.
Right.
Yeah.
Mic drop.
Was that a word?
That was a word. All J.
Hello.